I really thought Gluttony was going to be a softball episode today. I pictured it going something like this. Temperance good, buffets bad. 6 pages later, I'm still confused why this Gluttony episode of all things wasn't a cakewalk. Welcome to On the Go with St. Joe. Yes, the puns are as deadly as the sins are around here. So what is gluttony and how can we combat it? If you think like me, the first thing that comes to mind with this sin is food and lots of it. Gluttony isn't just about food or how much, but also the quality, the when, and the why. While downing a full package of Oreos or a box of Cheez-Its without even realizing it can certainly be gluttonous, gluttony can seep into our daily lives in forms other than food. Much like finishing an entire bag of something without being aware, you can do the same with TV. Ever get on Netflix and only think you would watch just one episode, only to come to the realization that 5 went by and it is now 1 in the morning? That inability to stop watching or stop eating is gluttony. This isn't about saying no to another one of God's rules. God wants us to enjoy good things in good ways, and He wants us to enjoy the right things the right way. While the jury is still out on whether or not Oreos and Cheez-Its are universally good things, if I succumb to gluttony, I have now lost my ability to enjoy them. When we don't have the ability to say no, we no longer have the ability to enjoy the right things in the right way, nor are we able to enjoy anything in general. We either stop enjoying life or become slaves to whatever it is we cannot say no to. We also have to look at quality when it comes to this capital sin. Gluttony for me may not just be eating an entire package of Oreos. For me, it could be that I have to eat them in a particular way. Maybe I have to take apart 2 cookies to make my own double-stuffed cookie, or it is impossible for me to enjoy it. Now, that may sound childish, and in truth it absolutely is. We do not necessarily have to have a lot of it, but we have to have it just the way we like it. Think when kids refuse to eat bread without the crusts cut off, or they have to have their bread cut just the right way. While we call gluttony a deadly sin, Aristotle called it a childish vice. Gluttony also requires us to focus on the win. Believe it or not, getting hangry is a byproduct of this deadly sin. When we get hangry, it is not necessarily wanting a lot of food or having it prepared in a particular way, but rather is wanting it now and not being able to wait. The main issue here is relying on food in order to be a more tolerable person. Our freedom is ransomed for the consumption of whatever product it is we are wanting, and we become enslaved to it. Now finally, the why. Whether we are consuming food, entertainment, or anything really, we must ask ourselves why. If we're battling with gluttony, the answer is I don't know. Too often when the answer is I don't know, we fall into the same trap of becoming slaves to whatever product we are consuming and no longer find enjoyment in it. Temperance is our way to combat gluttony and regain our freedom and enjoyment. It is defined as the virtue which moderates in us the inordinate desire for sensible pleasure, keeping it within the limits assigned by reason and faith. When sin entered the world, our powers of self-mastery were lost, and we began to drift naturally to unhealthy excess in the pursuit of physical pleasure. This virtue of temperance thankfully takes our wildly free senses and pulls them back into control, harnessing them with the reins of reason. One similarity you will notice for all the virtues is that in order to combat the 7 deadly sins, each one has to be learned through practice and patience, through prayer and self-denial. The Catholic gentleman gives us 3 ways to start practicing temperance. First, take less than you want. This will probably not be fun, especially at first. After all, you may really want 3 tacos. Take less than you want, though, and savor it. Do this repetitively, and you'll begin to wonder why you ever needed more. Second is tell yourself no altogether. Our culture will tell you that you deserve to indulge yourself, that you are entitled to the maximum amount of pleasure. We know that this simply isn't true. Next time you want to indulge yourself, just say no. On a personal note here, I can tell you that fasting works wonders on this practice. Realizing that when you look at a product to consume and then saying that I don't need this, I need Jesus instead, this can really begin to transform your spiritual life. The final practice from the Catholic gentleman recommends is getting uncomfortable. While I cringe anytime I hear the phrase, get out of your comfort zone, they do make a strong argument here. Many of the saints have said that one of our biggest enemies of our spiritual lives is the love of comfort. One example I'm sure some of us face is when we want to lay in bed as long as possible rather than getting up immediately. While these little habits of ours seem harmless, these self-indulgences can add up and increase our desire to choose the path of least resistance. We begin to value pleasure and ease more than we value doing what is right and good. And when we become intemperate or gluttonous, controlled by our desires instead of our reason. Obviously, the best way to overcome this gravitational pull toward ease is to push ourselves into uncomfortable territory. Do some things you don't like as you have opportunities to do so, even if it is getting up immediately instead of hitting the snooze button a dozen times. This will exercise the muscles of temperance, enabling you to choose the good and deny your appetites when you really don't feel like it. Temperance is considered a depressing virtue in our culture, practiced by those who don't know how to have fun or just simply refuse to. We now know that this isn't true. When our appetites are controlled by reason and are working in harmony, we'll find a new peace. We won't be controlled by restless cravings and desires anymore, but we'll instead be able to do what we really want to do, like serve God, rather than what our passions are telling us to do. Aesop is credited with the phrase, "It is possible to have too much of a good thing." But he said this way before we had a bulletin, so let's indulge. Help needed. We are in need of volunteers to help at the sign-up tables during our church directory photography sessions. The dates we are in need of help are June 27th, 29th, and 30th, as well as July 1st, 11, 12, 19, and 21. Call Stacy at the parish office for more information. This Sunday is Father's Day, and I want to give a quick shout out to all the dads out there, especially my own. I hope all you fathers out there have a blessed day. Remember that VBS begins next week at St. Joe's from 8 till noon, Monday through Friday. Wednesdays at 1 p.m. beginning July 5th through August 23rd. Join us for the Chosen Season 1 Watch Study. We will gather after the Wednesday 12:05 p.m. Mass in St. Joseph Parish Center, room 203. Each week we will watch an episode followed by a discussion. Light refreshments will be available. Please contact the parish office at 812-482-1805 to sign up or register, or online at stjosephjasper.org. Look for the events link. We are looking forward to seeing you. If you have a big event coming up at your parish and want it mentioned on the show, give us a shout out at our Facebook page or email us at onthego@stjosephjasper.org and we'll make sure we announce it. This invitation is for anyone from our surrounding parishes. As always, gang, it's been a blessing to give you this podcast today. However, just like gluttony being a cakewalk without temperance, this podcast is at an end. Let us go in peace.